A political turf war between California and the feds may be costing lives. This is all about a technology that advocates say can prevent some shootings, but detractors say costs too much time, money, and manpower.
CNN investigative reporter Stephen Stock digs into why California has major gaps in the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, and he joins us now. Stephen.
It's called NIBIN for short, Jessica. It consists of a computer that scans gun shell casings, bullets, and guns, much like a human fingerprint or DNA. It's been used to solve hundreds of murders across the country. But we discovered that here in California, some critical big state law enforcement is not using NIBIN.
Fire in the hole. So the shearing is here. You can see that those individual marks are lining up.
Around for 2 decades, police departments now use this technology to clear evidence backlogs and to solve crimes by linking seemingly unrelated shootings.
It's incredibly important for us.
Count San Jose Police Chief Eddie Garcia as one of NIBIN's converts and champions because it helped his officers solve one major case and gave leads to 2 others.
It's amazing for the organization.
It helped you solve this crime.
Well, it's definitely, the case is still open, but it helped us reopen 2 other cases that previously we had no leads on.
NIBIN is only as effective as the number of crime labs and police departments that participate. Our investigation discovered only about 20% of all gun shell casings and bullets across the country are ever entered into NIBIN, which is why Chief Garcia supported a California bill mandating NIBIN's use in this state.
It is unacceptable that we in the state of California do not have the implementation of the data.
Cupertino Assemblyman Evan Lowe was the bill's author.
Well, the bill provides that we mandate the process to ensure that we at least have a conversation. Right now, there's no requirement for them to even be talking to each other or using the data to best determine these gun crimes.
But after California's Attorney General's office and some local agencies opposed the bill, Lowe's proposal to force cooperation with NIBIN died this legislative session. Because of that, state-run crime labs like this one in Santa Rosa still don't use NIBIN. In fact, our investigation found that all of California's 10 state-run crime labs don't use the technology, creating one of the biggest data gaps in the state. Those labs handle gun evidence for most police departments across 47 different California counties, and none of that ends up in NIBIN. There are other gaps in the system created by other local agencies that don't participate, like here in Orange County. Here's an example of how inconsistent the current status quo is. If you got shot right here on this side of the street, any evidence in your shooting would go to the National NIBIN database. Why? Because Santa Ana Police, located right behind me, uses the NIBIN system. But walk across the street and just a block away, where Orange County's crime lab is located, and that evidence would go to an entirely different database that doesn't connect nor communicate with the national system. You see the crime lab there in the distance because Orange County's crime lab doesn't use NIBIN.
Cost is a big part of this, of course, and the time it would take our analysts to actually work these cases.
Bruce Houlihan directs Orange County's crime lab, overseeing a staff of 150 people handling about 1,000 gun cases a year. His lab opted to use instead a system that competes with NIBIN.
It gave us the ability to do bullets immediately with the same system that we are doing cartridge cases with at a much lower cost.
After ATF pulled Orange County's NIBIN system in 2012, the county turned to a technology developed in Russia called EvoFinder. You would admit when you don't put all the data in, things can be missed.
Sure.
And if your data is not in NIBIN, there could be a correlation that's missed, and therefore there's not a crime solved or a crime prevented.
Yeah, we thought about that very deeply when we were actually considering this, because that was a concern of ours. But considering the number of hits that we got nationally, almost non-existent.
It wasn't enough hits to make it worth your while.
Not at all, right.
In this state, there are huge gaps in the network.
A former Oakland police officer turned federal ATF agent, Ron Nichols, helped run NIBIN. When you have gaps in this data, what does that mean?
In these areas that aren't within the network in California, it means that your communities are at a much higher risk.
And these could be stopped in your mind if some of these gaps in data were closed?
Yes.
No doubt about it?
No doubt.
You are almost angry about it when you start thinking about it from a personal level. That fact that gun crimes are going unsolved because of political infighting so upset Nichols that he had to pause during our interview to compose himself.
I'm angry because it's preventable. So many of us get isolated in that science mentality that we've distanced ourselves from the faces of the crime.
Now, our reporting partners, the nonprofit journalists at The Trace, found that California is just one of 10 states across the country where the state-run crime labs do not participate in NIBIN. California's Attorney General's office, which runs the state crime labs, did not return numerous emails and phone calls over the last 6 months to comment or to even simply answer why the state doesn't participate.
Compelling interview with the ATF agent as well.
And we're talking about real lives at stake here, because if these crimes don't go solved, there's victims out there that still don't know, or families don't know who their killer, their loved one's killer is.
All right.
Thank you, Stephen.